CIET NCERT presents curriculum-based series Dhwani Shala. So let's join in Dhwani Shala Class 8.
Namaste and hello to all my dear friends. I am Dr. Nidhi Singh and today we are going to talk about Class 8 Geography textbook Chapter 2, that is Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources. Like the last chapter where we talked about resources, I will again narrate a story to you. This is a story of two people living at two different places of the world. One in Africa and another one in New Zealand. Now listen to this. In a small village in Tanzania, Africa, Mamba gets up very early in the morning to fetch water. She has to walk a long way and returns after a few hours. She then helps her mother in the house and joins her brothers in taking care of their goats. All her family owns is a piece of rocky land around their small hut. Mamba's father can barely grow some maize and beans on it after toiling hard. This is not enough to feed their family for the whole year. Peter lives in the heart of the sheep-rearing region in New Zealand, where his family runs a wool processing factory. Every day, when he returns from school, Peter watches his uncle taking care of their sheep. Their sheep yard is situated on a wide grassy plain with hills in the far distance. It is managed in a scientific way using the latest technology. Peter's family also grows vegetables through organic farming. Mamba and Peter stay in two different parts of the world and lead very different lives. This difference is because of the differences in the quality of land, soil, water, natural vegetation, animals, and the usage of technology. The availability of such resources is the main reason places differ from each other. Now observe the land, type of soil, and water availability in the region you live. Discuss it with your friends, how it has influenced the lifestyle of people there. Now we will be discussing about various resources in details. At first, we will discuss about land. Land is among the most important natural resources. It covers only about 30% of the total area of the Earth's surface, and all parts of this small percentage are not habitable. That means it is not suitable for living. The uneven distribution of population in different parts of the world is mainly due to varied characteristics of land and climate. The rugged topography, steep slopes of the mountains, low-lying areas susceptible to waterlogging, desert areas, thick forested areas, are normally sparsely populated or uninhabited. That means either no one lives there or very few people live there. Plains and river valleys offer suitable land for agriculture. Hence, these are the densely populated areas of the world. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads, and setting up of industries. This is commonly termed as land use. Recall the story we heard at the starting of the session. Can you list out the different ways in which Mamba's and Peter's family use their land? The use of land is determined by physical factors such as topography, soil, climate, minerals, and availability of water. Human factors such as population and technology are also important determinants of land use pattern. Land can also be classified on the basis of ownership as private land and community land. Private land is owned by individuals or privately, whereas community land is owned by the community for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts, or medicinal herbs. These community lands are also called Common Property Resources or CPRs. Now let us observe. People and their demands are ever growing, but the availability of land is limited. The quality of land also differs from place to place. People started encroaching the common lands to build up commercial areas, housing complexes in the urban areas, and to expand the agricultural land in the rural areas. Today, the vast changes in the land use pattern also reflect the cultural changes in our society. Land degradation, landslides, soil erosion, desertification are the major threats to the environment because of the expansion of agriculture and construction activities. Try to find out in your locality, is there any piece of land which was earlier a forest area or grassland, and now it is being used as agricultural area, or construction of buildings has been done on them. You can talk to some elderly persons in your family or neighborhood and collect information about changes in the land use over the years in the place where you live. Growing population and their ever-growing demand has led to a large-scale destruction of forest cover and arable land. This has created a fear of losing this natural resource. Therefore, the present rate of degradation of land must be checked. Afforestation, land reclamation, regulated use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and checks on overgrazing are some of the common methods used to conserve land resources. Apart from land, in general, soil is also an important resource. What is soil? The thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth is called soil. It is closely linked to land. Landforms determine the type of soil. Soil is made up of organic matter, minerals, and weathered rocks found on the earth. This happens through the process of weathering. The right mix of minerals and organic matter make the soil fertile. Did you know soil is not the same all over? They are also not the same at varying depths. The topmost layer of soil is known as topsoil and is made up of humus, the organic matter. The second layer beneath topsoil is the subsoil with sand, silt, and clay. The third layer is the weathered rock or the broken rock. Weathered rock is formed out of the process of weathering. Now, what is weathering? Weathering is a process of breaking down and decay of exposed rocks by temperature changes, frost action, plants, animals, and human activity. The innermost layer, deep in the layer of soil, is the parent material. Now you know the 4 layers of soil. Have you ever thought how the soil has been formed? It takes hundreds of years to create an inch of soil. But how are they formed? The major factors of soil formation are the nature of the parent rock and climatic factors. Other factors are the topography, role of organic material, and time taken for the composition of soil formation. All these differ from place to place. Now, the first and foremost important factor is parent rock. This determines color, texture, chemical properties, minerals, content, and permeability of rocks. So these are the characteristics that are determined by parent rock. Second one is climate. Temperature, rainfall, etc. influence rate of weathering and humus formation in the soil. The third one is topography or relief. Altitude and slope determine accumulation of soil. This means how thick the layer of soil is. In areas of high altitude and steep slopes, soil is not able to settle and gets transported to the lower areas. Therefore, mountainous areas have thin layer of soil. Fourth factor is flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Flora means plants and trees, fauna means animals and birds, etc., and microorganisms. They affect the rate of humus formation. Humus is responsible for the fertility of soil. If a soil has large amount of humus content in it, it will be more fertile. Fifth is time. Time determines thickness of soil profile. As I told you that it takes hundreds of years to form a centimeter of soil, time is also an important factor for the formation of soil. As said earlier, soil is not the same all over. There are different types of soils as well. In India, soils could be alluvial, black, red, laterite, desert, and mountain soil. All these types of soils have been formed out of the mentioned factors. Alluvial soil can be found in the northern plains of India, black soil in the Deccan region of central and south India, and red soil in the region surrounding the black soil. Laterite soils are found in the areas of heavy rainfall. Can you identify the regions in India where heavy rainfall occurs? I will give you a hint. Heavy rainfall occurs in parts of South India and Northeast India. The desert and mountain soil are found in desert and mountainous regions of India. Try to find out which type of soil is found in your locality. You can observe the soil, look up in your atlas, and talk to your elders. Soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil as a resource. Both human and natural factors can lead to degradation of soils. Factors which lead to soil degradation are deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, rainwash, landslide, and floods. Let us learn about some methods of soil conservation. The first one is mulching. The bare ground between plants is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. It helps in retaining soil moisture. So this is one of the practices used for soil conservation. Second one is contour barriers. Stones, grasses, soil are used to build barriers along contours. Trenches are made in front of the barriers to collect water. The third practice is rock dam. Rocks are piled up to slow down the flow of water. This prevents gullies and further soil loss. Fourth is terrace farming. Broad, flat steps or terraces are made on the steep slopes so that flat surfaces are available to grow crops. They reduce surface runoff and soil erosion. Fifth method is intercropping. Different crops are grown in alternate rows and are sown at different times to protect the soil from rainwash. Sixth is contour ploughing. Ploughing parallel to the contours of a hill slope to form a natural barrier for water to flow down the slope is another practice. Seventh practice is shelter belts. In the coastal and dry regions, rows of trees are planted to check the wind movement to protect soil cover. After land and soil, Now we will discuss about water. Water is a vital, renewable natural resource. 3/4 of the Earth's surface is covered with water. It is therefore appropriately called the water planet. It was in the primitive oceans that life began, almost 3.5 billion years back. Even today, the oceans cover 2/3 of the Earth's surface and support a rich variety of plant and animal life. The ocean water is, however, saline and not fit for human consumption. Fresh water accounts for only about 2.7%. Nearly 70% of this occurs as ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland, and mountain regions. Due to their location, they are inaccessible. Only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. Imagine, only 1% of fresh water. It is found as groundwater, as surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. Fresh water is therefore the most precious substance on earth. Water can neither be added nor subtracted from the earth. Its total volume remains constant. Its abundance only seems to vary because it is in constant motion. Cyclic through the oceans, the air, the land, and back again through the processes of evaporation, precipitation, and runoff. This, as you already know, is referred to as the water cycle. Humans use huge amount of water not only for drinking and washing but also in the process of production. Water for agriculture, industries, generating electricity through reservoirs of dams are some of the other usages. Increasing population, rising demands for food and cash crops, increasing urbanization, and rising standards of living are the major factors leading to shortages in supply of fresh water, either due to drying up of water sources or water pollution. Do you know a dripping tap wastes 1,200 liters of water in a year? There is scarcity of water in many regions of the world and even in India. Most of Africa, West Asia, South Asia, parts of USA, Northwest Mexico, parts of South America, and entire Australia are facing shortages in fresh water supply. Countries located in climatic zones most susceptible to droughts face great problems of water scarcity. Thus, water shortage may be a consequence of variation in seasonal or annual precipitation, or the scarcity is caused by over-exploitation and contamination of water sources. We have talked about land, soil, and water resources. Natural vegetation and wildlife exist only in the narrow zone of contact between the lithosphere hydrosphere and atmosphere that we call biosphere. In the biosphere, living beings are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. This life supporting system is known as the ecosystem. Vegetation and wildlife are valuable resources. Plants provide us with food, timber, give shelter to animals, produce oxygen we breathe, protect soils, act as shelter belts, help in storage of underground water, give us fruits, nuts, latex, turpentine oil, gum, medicinal plants, etc. Even the paper that you use is got from plants only. There are innumerable uses of plants and you can add some more. Wildlife includes animals, birds, insects as well as the aquatic life forms. They provide us milk, meat, hides and wool. Insects like bees provide us honey, help in pollination of flowers, and have an important role to play as decomposers in the ecosystem. The birds feed on insects and act as decomposers as well. Vulture, due to its ability to feed on dead livestock, is a scavenger and considered a vital cleanser of the environment. Have you seen a vulture? Now it is found very rarely in our environment. It's scary, but then they are very important for maintaining the balance of our environment. So animals, big or small, all are integral to maintaining balance in the ecosystem. Like any other resource, natural vegetation is not the same all over. The growth of vegetation depends primarily on temperature and moisture. The major vegetation types of the world are grouped as forests, grasslands, scrubs, and tundra. In areas of heavy rainfall, huge trees may thrive. The forests are thus associated with areas having abundant water supply. As the amount of moisture decreases, the size of trees and their density reduces. Short stunted trees and grasses grow in the regions of moderate rainfall, forming the grasslands of the world. Thorny shrubs and shrubs grow in dry areas of low rainfall. In such areas, plants have deep roots and leaves with thorny and waxy surface that reduce loss of moisture through transpiration. Have you seen a cactus plant? It is thorny, right? And the leaves are succulent, they are thick and have water in them. Tundra vegetation of cold polar regions comprise of mosses and lichens. Today, there are many more people in the world than there were 2 centuries back. To feed the growing numbers, large areas of forest have been cleared to grow crops. Forest cover all over the world is vanishing rapidly. There is an urgent need to conserve these valuable resources. The conservation part of natural vegetation and wildlife resources. changes of climate and human interferences can cause the loss of natural habitats for the plants and animals. Many species have become vulnerable or endangered, and some are on the verge of extinction. Deforestation, soil erosion, constructional activities, forest fires, tsunami, and landslides are some of the human and natural factors which accelerate the process of extinction of these resources. One of the major concerns is the poaching, which result in a sharp decline in the number of particular species. The animals are poached for collection and illegal trade of hides, skin, nails, teeth, horns, as well as feathers. Some of these animals are tiger, lion, elephant, and deer, etc. So, how are they protected then? What is the way out? These questions must be occurring in your mind. National parks, wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves are made to protect our natural vegetation and wildlife. Try finding out the meanings of these terms. Conservation of creeks, lakes, and wetlands is necessary to save the precious resource from depletion. Awareness programs like social forestry and Van Mahotsav should be encouraged at the regional and community levels. Friends, I hope you must have understood the topic well. In the next session, we will be coming up with few other topics. Till then, bye. Take care.
CIET NCERT presents to you the curriculum-based series Dhwani Shala. So friends, you were just listening to this series Dhwani Shala. Production assistants Meenakshi Kukreti and Tanu Gupta. Recorded by Batilang Lingdo. Produced by Vandana Arimardhan. This series was brought to you by CIET NCERT, New Delhi, India.